In the world of fine spirits, few beverages command as much respect, and indeed, as much mystique, as whiskey. From humble drams to opulent decanters, its price tags span an astonishing spectrum. We're often told that quality comes at a cost, that the smoother finish, the deeper complexities, the richer history, are all reflected in the premium price. But what if that belief is merely an illusion, carefully crafted by marketing and deeply ingrained expectation? Today, we embark on a journey to challenge that very notion, to strip away the labels and the prestige, and let taste be the sole arbiter. The allure of an expensive bottle is undeniable. It promises exclusivity, a superior experience, a statement. But how much of that promise is genuinely delivered by the liquid itself, and how much is influenced by the weight of its reputation, its intricate packaging, or the story woven around its origin? This isn't just about whiskey, it's about the psychology of perception, the subtle ways our minds can trick our senses. Our mission is to cut through the noise, to conduct a rigorous blind test designed to answer one fundamental question: is expensive whiskey truly better, or do we simply believe it is? Whiskey, a spirit distilled from fermented grain mash and aged in wooden barrels, holds a special place in cultures worldwide. From the smoky peats of Scotland to the cornfields of Kentucky, each region imbues its own character into this amber liquid. Its global market is vast, driven by diverse tastes and traditions. But regardless of its origin, the divide between cheap and expensive exists everywhere. Understanding what contributes to this vast price difference is crucial before we delve into the tasting, helping us appreciate the nuances that producers claim justify their pricing. Several key factors contribute to a whiskey's retail price. Firstly, the ingredients, quality grains, yeast, and water. Secondly, the distillation process. Craft distillers often use smaller, less efficient stills, requiring more time and labor. Thirdly, and perhaps most significantly, aging. The longer a whiskey matures in a barrel, the more complex its flavors become, but also the more product is lost to evaporation, the angel's share, and the higher the storage costs. Finally, packaging, marketing, and brand heritage all add to the final figure, creating a narrative of luxury and exclusivity. The angel's share is not just a poetic term, it's a very real economic factor. As whiskey ages in wooden barrels, a portion of the liquid evaporates through the porous wood. This loss can be substantial, especially over many years in varying climates. For a whiskey aged for a decade or more, producers might lose 20 to 30% or even more of the initial volume. This lost volume, combined with the cost of storing barrels for extended periods, represents a significant investment that must be recouped in the retail price. It's a key reason older whiskeys command higher prices. The world of whiskey production broadly splits into two philosophies: large-scale commercial operations and smaller, craft distilleries. Commercial giants prioritize efficiency, consistency, and volume, often utilizing continuous column stills and rapid aging techniques. Their economies of scale allow for lower production costs per bottle. Craft distilleries, on the other hand, often embrace traditional methods, focusing on unique grain bills, specific yeasts, and longer, more hands-on aging processes. This often results in lower output but a unique product, justifying a higher price point for its artisanal nature and limited availability. Both approaches yield valid, distinct whiskeys. Beyond the liquid itself, branding plays an immense role in whiskey pricing. A brand's heritage, its story, the design of its bottle, and its marketing campaigns all contribute to its perceived value. Luxury brands invest heavily in creating an aura of exclusivity and sophistication, appealing to consumers who seek more than just a drink, but an experience or a status symbol. This isn't inherently negative, it's a testament to effective marketing. However, it also means that a significant portion of an expensive bottle's price might be paying for the story and the image, rather than strictly superior ingredients or aging. To truly evaluate the liquid without prejudice, we must eliminate all external influences. This is the essence of a blind taste test. Our goal is simple: to determine if a panel of tasters can consistently identify the more expensive whiskey, and more importantly, if they genuinely prefer it, when stripped of any knowledge of brand, age statement, or price. This controlled environment ensures that only the sensory experience, sight, smell, and taste, guides their judgment. It's a powerful way to challenge our pre-existing notions about value and quality. For this experiment, we've carefully selected 2 whiskeys representing the opposite ends of the pricing spectrum within the same general category. Our budget option is widely available, known for its consistency and affordability. Our premium option, on the other hand, boasts a higher age statement, more complex production methods, and commands a price several times greater than its counterpart. Both are popular choices, but their market positions are vastly different. The anonymity of these bottles is paramount to the integrity of our blind test, ensuring no prior bias influences our tasters. To ensure a broad range of palates and experiences, our blind test panel comprises individuals with varying levels of whiskey familiarity. Some are seasoned enthusiasts, capable of dissecting complex flavor profiles, while others enjoy whiskey casually, representing the average consumer. This diversity is crucial. It allows us to see if expertise translates into a consistent preference for expensive spirits, or if novice tasters are equally susceptible to perceived value when unblind. Each panelist approaches this test with an open mind, ready to challenge their own assumptions about taste and quality. Our blind test methodology is straightforward yet precise. Each panelist will receive 2 unmarked glasses, labeled simply Sample A and Sample B. These glasses contain the budget and premium whiskeys, with their positions randomized for each taster to prevent any pattern recognition. Participants are asked to evaluate each sample independently, considering its appearance, aroma, taste, and finish. They will document their thoughts and assign a preference without any knowledge of which whiskey is which. Water and crackers are provided as palate cleansers to ensure accurate sensory perception between samples. Behind the scenes, meticulous preparation is underway to ensure the integrity of the blind test. The 2 selected whiskeys are decanted into identical, unmarked containers. Then, using precise measurements, equal pours are made into a series of identical tasting glasses. Each glass is then coated with either O or B in its position, randomized according to our predetermined sequence for each panelist. This strict control over the serving process ensures that the only variable being tested is the whiskey itself, free from any visual cues from bottles or labels that could sway judgment. The tasting begins with the eyes. Whiskey's color can range from pale straw to deep mahogany, influenced by factors like barrel type, age, and coloring agents. While color doesn't directly dictate flavor, it shapes initial expectations. Our tasters examine Sample A and Sample B, noting any differences in hue, clarity, and viscosity. Are they similar, or strikingly different? Even this seemingly innocent first step can subtly prime the palate. But in a blind test, without knowing the context, these visual cues are simply data points, not indicators of perceived quality. Next, the nose. The aroma of whiskey is incredibly complex, offering notes of caramel, vanilla, oak, fruit, spice, and sometimes smoke. These volatile compounds reveal much about the distillation and aging process. Tasters gently swirl their glasses, bringing the liquid closer to their nose, inhaling deeply to identify individual notes and the overall aromatic profile of Sample A and Sample B. Do one of them present a richer, more inviting bouquet? Or are there surprising similarities in their olfactory signatures? This stage is crucial for building a profile before the liquid touches the tongue. Now, the moment of truth, the first taste. Tasters take a small sip of Sample A, allowing the whiskey to coat their palate, exploring its initial impact, mid-palate development, and the burgeoning finish. They consider its mouthfeel. Is it thin, oily, smooth? What flavors emerge? Is there a burning sensation, or a gentle warmth? The goal is to articulate these sensations without judgment, simply observing what the liquid presents. This initial interaction forms the bedrock of their individual assessment for Sample A, setting the stage for direct comparison with its unknown counterpart. After a brief palate cleanse, attention turns to Sample B. Tasters repeat the process, taking a deliberate sip and focusing on its unique characteristics. Do the flavors align with or diverge from Sample A? Is it smoother, more robust, or perhaps more subtle? It's often in this direct comparison, side by side with an unknown reference point, that perceptions begin to sharpen. Without the context of price or brand, the tasters are truly forced to confront the raw sensory data. This is where preconceived notions, if any, start to crumble or reinforce, based purely on taste. As the panel moves between sample A and B, a range of reactions becomes apparent. Some tasters quickly form a preference, confidently asserting one is smoother or more complex. Others express confusion, finding both samples surprisingly similar, or unexpectedly different from what they anticipated based on common whiskey profiles. The challenge of a blind test often lies in this ambiguity. The absence of guiding information can make definitive judgments harder. This initial phase is about raw, unfiltered sensory input, before any conscious or subconscious biases have a chance to solidify. One of the most common justifications for a higher whiskey price is its complexity. But what does that truly mean? In tasting terms, complexity refers to the number and diversity of flavors and aromas present, how they evolve over time, and how well they integrate without any single note overpowering the others. A complex whiskey might reveal layers of fruit, spice, oak, and peat that unfold from nose to finish. Our tasters are trying to discern if either sample A or B offers this multi-layered experience, or if one is simpler, more straightforward, yet still enjoyable. Another key descriptor in whiskey appreciation is smoothness. Often equated with higher quality, a smooth whiskey is perceived as easy to drink, without harshness or an unpleasant burning sensation. However, some argue that excessive smoothness can sometimes come at the expense of character, the distinct, robust flavors that make a whiskey unique. Does one of our samples offer a silky, effortless experience while the other provides a more assertive, characterful profile? Tasters are weighing these attributes, balancing drinkability with depth, without knowing which bottle represents which philosophy. To ensure fairness and prevent flavor carryover, tasters regularly cleanse their palates between samples. A sip of plain water and a bite of unflavored cracker help reset the taste buds, allowing them to approach each new sip with a fresh perspective. This simple but essential step is vital in a blind test, where even subtle residual flavors could unintentionally influence judgment. It's a testament to the meticulousness required to accurately compare spirits, ensuring that each assessment is based purely on the sample currently being evaluated, rather than lingering notes from the previous one. To further challenge the tasters and eliminate any positional bias, we've swapped the order of presentation for some panelists. What one taster experienced as sample A followed by sample B, another might encounter as sample B then sample A. This randomization technique is critical in preventing any carryover effect or psychological preference for the first or second sample. It reinforces the scientific rigor of our approach, ensuring that any emerging preferences or observations are truly about the whiskey itself, and not an artifact of the testing sequence. After initial impressions, tasters are encouraged to revisit both sample A and sample B multiple times. This iterative process allows for deeper exploration of the whiskeys as their palates adjust and new nuances emerge. What seems subtle at first might become more pronounced, and initial harshness might soften with aeration. This reevaluation often solidifies preferences or, conversely, creates more doubt as tasters grapple with unexpected similarities or differences upon repeated sips. The goal is a considered, well-rounded assessment for each, minimizing snap judgments. As the blind tasting progresses, patterns begin to emerge. Some tasters consistently lean towards sample A, citing its particular qualities, while others are drawn more to sample B. Interestingly, some find themselves torn, genuinely enjoying aspects of both. The true test here is consistency. Are the seasoned whiskey drinkers all gravitating towards one sample, and the casual drinkers towards the other? Or are preferences more scattered, indicating the highly subjective nature of taste even among experienced palates? These emerging trends provide the first clues to our ultimate reveal. The blind test is designed specifically to counteract the powerful influence of suggestion. When we know a whiskey is expensive, our brains are predisposed to find it more enjoyable, smoother, and more complex. This phenomenon, known as the expectation effect, can significantly alter our sensory experience. Conversely, knowing a whiskey is cheap might lead us to unfairly dismiss it. By removing all identifiers, our tasters are free from these cognitive biases, allowing their true preferences to surface, uncorrupted by price or brand prestige. The human mind is a powerful, yet sometimes deceptive, tool. Our brains are wired with various cognitive biases that influence how we perceive the world, including taste. The halo effect, for instance, means if we perceive one positive attribute, like high price, we're likely to ascribe other positive attributes, like better taste, to the same item. Conversely, the horn effect can make us judge a cheap item more harshly. These biases are often subconscious, making blind testing the only reliable way to circumvent them. Our panelists are unknowingly navigating a minefield of potential cognitive pitfalls, making their unadulterated preferences even more telling. The air in the tasting room is thick with anticipation. Our panelists have completed their evaluations, meticulously noting their observations and declaring their preferred sample. They've speculated, debated, and perhaps even second-guessed themselves. Now, it's time for the moment they've all been waiting for, the grand reveal. Which sample was the budget-friendly underdog, and which commanded the premium price? The answers promise to be illuminating, challenging long-held assumptions and offering a fresh perspective on the true value of a dram. Prepare for some surprising revelations. With bated breath, we prepare to unveil the identity of Sample A. Was this the whiskey that captivated with its unexpected depth, or perhaps one that left some tasters wanting more? The moment of truth is here. Sample A was the budget-friendly whiskey. This bottle, costing a fraction of its premium counterpart, has been a staple for many, often overlooked in favor of more expensive options. Now, we see how it truly performed when judged purely on its merits. For some, this reveal will confirm a suspicion, for others, it will be a genuine shock, forcing a re-evaluation of their palates. And now, for Sample B. The whiskey that promised a premium experience, steeped in heritage and often boasting a significant age statement. Sample B was the expensive, premium whiskey. Priced several times higher than Sample A, this bottle embodies the luxury segment of the market. Did its pedigree shine through in the blind test? Did its higher cost truly translate to a universally superior tasting experience for our panel? This reveal forces us to confront whether the investment in time, ingredients, and marketing genuinely equates to a better drink, or simply a more expensive one. The results are in, and they are fascinating. Our panel's preferences were far from unanimous. A significant portion of tasters actually preferred Sample A, the budget whiskey, citing its approachable profile and pleasant finish. Some even described it as smoother than the premium option. Conversely, the expensive Sample B, while appreciated by many for its complexity, didn't always win over the majority. This outcome underscores a critical truth: what one person considers superior is deeply personal, often diverging from industry perceptions or price-driven expectations. For those who unknowingly preferred the budget whiskey, the reveal was particularly eye-opening. Many expressed genuine astonishment, admitting they would have automatically assumed the more expensive option was superior. "I just found it easier to drink," one taster commented. "It was exactly what I look for in an everyday whiskey." This feedback highlights that quality isn't always about the most complex or rare. Sometimes, it's about accessibility, comfort, and simply enjoying the experience without overthinking it. The budget bottle proved its worth on taste alone. Conversely, those who favored the premium whiskey often felt vindicated. They lauded its intricate layers, its long finish, and its depth of character. "There was just more going on," another taster explained. "It felt more special." This group's preference reinforces the idea that for some palates, the subtle complexities cultivated through longer aging or artisanal methods truly do stand out. For them, the investment in a premium bottle is justified by a richer, more nuanced sensory journey, even without prior knowledge of its price point. Their palates genuinely resonated with the higher-end profile. Our blind test reveals that the inherent quality of whiskey is not solely dictated by price. So, what exactly are we paying for when we choose a premium bottle? Often, it's a combination of heritage, craftsmanship, rarity, and the narrative surrounding the brand. It's the assurance of traditional methods, the promise of exceptional aging, and the aesthetic pleasure of a beautifully designed bottle. These are all valid aspects of a product, but they exist beyond the liquid's fundamental taste. They contribute to the overall experience and value, albeit not always directly to sensory superiority. For producers, the decision to price a whiskey higher is a complex one, balancing the cost of production with market perception. A longer aging period, for example, ties up capital for years, incurs storage costs, and leads to the angel's share loss. Using specific, expensive barrels or unique grain varieties also drives up costs. These are real investments that contribute to the final price. However, our test shows that these investments don't always guarantee a preferred taste experience for every consumer, highlighting the subjective nature of what constitutes worth in the eyes of the drinker. Marketing plays a profound role in shaping our perceptions and justifying higher prices. From elegant bottle designs to captivating origin stories, brands work tirelessly to create a distinct identity and desirability. A limited edition label or a master distiller's reserve can instantly elevate a whiskey's perceived value, even if its intrinsic taste difference isn't universally preferred. This isn't deceptive, it's smart business. However, it requires consumers to be aware that they are often buying into an image and an experience, which is part of the product, but separate from the pure liquid taste. The most resounding takeaway from our blind test is the undeniable subjectivity of taste. There is no single best whiskey, just as there is no universal best food or music. Each individual's palate is unique, influenced by genetics, personal experiences, and even mood. What one person finds complex and nuanced, another might find overpowering. What one person calls smooth, another might find bland. This personal variance means that an expensive whiskey might be utterly divine to one connoisseur, yet merely okay to another, regardless of its objective quality metrics. So, is expensive whiskey worth it? Our blind test suggests a nuanced answer. It depends entirely on what worth it means to you. If worth is purely about a universally preferred sensory experience, then the answer is often not necessarily. However, if worth encompasses the story, the craftsmanship, the rarity, the status, and the overall luxurious experience that a premium bottle provides, then for many, it absolutely is. The key is to be an informed consumer, understanding that price is a sum of many factors, and only some directly relate to the liquid in the glass. Ultimately, the journey of whiskey appreciation is deeply personal. Don't let price tags dictate your enjoyment. Our blind test encourages you to explore, to experiment, and most importantly, to trust your own palate. A budget whiskey can bring immense pleasure, just as a premium one can. The true value lies not in the cost, but in the enjoyment you derive from each sip. So, whether you prefer the accessible everyday dram or the rare, aged masterpiece, the best whiskey is always the one you love to drink, regardless of what's written on the label or the price tag. This blind test has peeled back the layers of perception, proving that our senses can be easily swayed by factors beyond pure taste. It's a powerful reminder to approach all consumer choices with an open mind and a critical palate. Whether you're a seasoned connoisseur or just beginning your whiskey journey, remember that the most satisfying experience often comes from genuine enjoyment, not from adhering to arbitrary price points or brand hype. So go forth, explore, and find what truly resonates with your unique taste. Cheers to discovery!